All right, there you are. It has begun officially. We got her back from Armadillo powder coating. Took a little bit longer than I expected. However, I was gone for a week and a half, so that didn't really matter. And it wasn't too much longer when I got back than I have that. They're still working on some exhaust pieces, and I'm tempted to give them the front forks if I decide to disassemble them all the way down. I've got some things outside right now. It's really windy. I've even got the garage door shut just simply because it is blowing everything I just cleaned out of this garage. I realize it still looks kind of like a mess. It looks like a KLR exploded, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I'll give you a few little close-ups and kind of discuss a few things that people have been asking me. One, if you jump on into the AvRider forums, a lot of the guys that are rebuilding KLRs this drastically will go through and they'll add some reinforcement plates or some gussets and things like that. I don't expect to treat this like an enduro. So I've already done a couple of the mods we'll go through as far as like reinforcing the subframe bolts. Some of those minor things. This is a 1990. This did come from Japan, and so I do believe the craftsmanship, the metal, is probably a little bit better than the older ones. I did look this over very carefully before I took it to powder coating. There was a couple spots where the paints were coming off. That was part of the reason we got the powder coating done, was just to keep the rust from forming at all. Went over just a couple of rough edges. There's definitely some crash damage from even before I bought this thing on the swing arm, so we smoothed those sections out. So in the neck, I mean, I do believe this is adequate gusseting. I don't know if there's different frames. I know there's different frames for European models that's slightly different. So I do believe this gusseting, checked all the welds, things like that up at the head. One of the only things I did not fix, which we'll cut down to here, is the steering stop. All right, well, as you can see, there's actually a huge section here that I sort of filled in, but this steering stop has seen better days. In fact, the previous owner put this bolt in there. I don't know if he drilled and tapped this just to kind of knock this one over here out, but yeah, that was the only thing I really didn't go into depth to fixing or improving at all. So a lot of this stuff, I just left it as is. There's a few bent things and a few things, but why powder coat? Powder coating is going to offer a lot more corrosion resistance. You know, I'm picturing this thing on the side of a sailboat going across a Darien Gap, and anything that's going to keep this thing on the road longer, a couple $100, I think is a great long-term investment. Remember, this is a $1,000 KLR, so I didn't have, you know, the $6,000 initial investment of a brand new KLR. So I've got some playroom to wiggle and to do some improvements. If you guys have watched my video on the actual foot pegs, you know that I cut the bottom out of this and welded the plate back in there. I've got larger nuts on the back side here. And I almost went through and completely sealed this up, but I honestly, some part of me says that down the road, I may have to open that back up with a grinder, and so it's easier to cut through a couple stitch welds since it's not really a structural issue on that side than actually boxing this thing entirely in there. So there will be dirt and debris that we'll be able to get in there. That was one of the only things I really sort of went back and forth on, whether or not I should completely eliminate that or not. Same thing here with inside the frame. This is the original skid plate attachment. I could have easily just ground that off and not worried about it. I left it because it's honestly, it's not in the way with the Happy Trails insert. All right, so what we were talking about here is on the subframe, I do have the drill through kit, which is not only improves the hardware that goes through there, but the diameter. That is, it takes a while, it's slow going, you just put a drill on there, go through it, use lots of, you know, sort of drill lubrication for the bit so it doesn't get dull. I think I went through 2 bits, changing them out, letting them cool, and then re-sharpening them. The center piece of this is a lot of steel. I don't think I have any of the footage of actually doing that from the first rebuild. Otherwise, I'll put it in right here. But otherwise, guys, if you're thinking about doing something like this, my only tip and trick is generally I will go and put all the bolts back in their places so that you don't forget where they are. However, to get it powder coated, you got to pull all that stuff out, and they will fill the threads with foam and tape and things like that so they can get it powder coated. But It's a quick look of what we've got going. This is a blank slate, and we're going to start the rebuild right now. Hey guys, just want to give you a huge thank you for the continued support that you always give me. We'll be putting out more content as always, everything from the high Arctic down to Antarctica and everywhere in between for our adventures on two wheels. We'll catch you down the road. Thanks again, guys.